Hi, everyone. RC and Shirley B here today with our podcast, episode number 5 of Whisper Words of Wisdom. Can't believe we're on episode number 5 already.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's been
It
fun.
has been fun.
It
So,
has, yes.
last week I was away, so we didn't record, and Shirley was away as well. So I'm glad to have you back. It's good to see you back safe and sound.
Thank you, and for you too.
Thank you. It was an experience for both of us, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so this week's subject, we are going to talk about chaos, conflict, and clarity, and how to try to stay calm in the eye of the hurricane, which a lot of that energy is in the air, a lot of chaos and conflict and communication and um, believing in the unseen and in the unknown and issues of security, financial security, personal security, insecurity. That's all coming up in the astrology, especially with the super moon in Gemini. This, well, it'll be Friday for some people, Saturday for other people, depending on where they are in the world. So, excuse me, I have a little wheeze today. My allergies are bothering me. So all of that energy is coming up. And you and I had a discussion yesterday, Shirley, and we're both feeling it as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. We talked about that. How to stay calm in the midst of chaos.
And it can be a challenge. And these
Yes.
are challenging times for everyone,
Hmm.
personally, collectively. A lot of this energy, depending on people's charts, it's going to hit everyone differently, but on a collective level, um, we're all going to be affected in some way. And the overall energy right now is Mercury is the mind, which rules Gemini. So it's all forms of communication, but it's also the way we communicate with ourselves. How do we speak to ourselves? How our mind processes information. And then we have Neptune very active, which is the planet they call the Great Spirit. So it's about the unseen, believing in the unseen. Okay. So with this supermoon, we are being asked to believe more in our intuition and what we feel and to feel into things than we are to believe what our mind is telling us. So it's somewhat a play on the energy of it's where people say seeing is believing. This is kind of like it's more of an energy of feeling is believing. So if something is coming out of someone's mouth, but it's not resonating with your body, and isn't that energy isn't moving through your body in a comfortable way, chances are they're not being honest, whether they're aware of it or not, because it might not be something that they're purposely trying to do. It might be an actual belief that they have, and they just haven't felt or seen something that part of their journey yet. So it's a little bit confusing. I want to say a lot confusing, a little bit confusing, and it can cause some chaos. And we all know that chaos can lead to conflict, because when we're standing in the eye of the hurricane, we're trying to get our zen on. It's what was the movie with the big tornado where the cow gets caught up in the hurricane, the tornado Twister. It's kind of like watching the cow and the truck go around us, and we're trying to sit in the eye of the storm and close our eyes because we know the cow and the truck really aren't going around us, although we may feel that they are. And so trusting in our intuition, trusting in what we are feeling more so than what our mind is telling us at this time, not all the time, but at this time. So that is the energy that will be taking place. Probably feeling it now, like we're feeling it now. It
Yeah.
depends on how energy sensitive people are. And so, what would you like to share? What are your feelings on that? Because it's a somewhat confusing energy, and
It,
how
it,
do you keep the calm?
it is, it's a very confusing energy. And what I found, I was doing some meditations yesterday around such things, actually, and writing out my thoughts on certain areas in my life that just kept on coming up. So they needed to be written out. And also they were words that appear to be old beliefs that were showing up. And at the same time, there was an internal feeling that, and I shared that a little bit in a piece I put on Facebook this morning, that was coming directly from my solar plexus, which were very bright, very open, very light, very powerful, saying, trust the process, relax, allow flow, do not force. So here I have this head thing telling me, but you got to da 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 da, and there was a whole list of things that I thought I needed to be doing, you know, and I had this internal going, breathe, trust the process, allow flow. You don't need to force anything right now. Now is not a good time to force. It's never a good time to force. But now is not a good time for you to be listening into your head and putting all of this stuff in practice. What you really need to do is sit back, stand down, connect before you move forward. And so that is one of my biggest things, is to come back. I have to pull the energy back in sometimes. The energy wants to shoot out there and it wants to get all over the place, and it gets sloppy when I allow that to happen. Especially energy that says you got to do, 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 do. And because that will take care of all the chaos that's going on, whether it's in my own personal life or in the societal life or whatever it is. And I don't have to do that, but I've got to pull that energy back. And the way I have to do that is, I'm very physical. So I breathe. I literally bring my arms out like this. And I bring it back. I go over here and I bring it back. We'll have to bring that energy back. And then once I can bring it back, then I bring it down as far as I can through breathing into that solar plexus area. And then I allow myself to sit there to listen, and what I heard felt more real, in a sense, than what I was listening to. And so in that, I was able to then move forward in a very different way than I would have been attempting to move forward. Because when I hear a lot of stuff that I have to do, sometimes I go directly into procrastination. So I'm hearing it, but I'm not doing it. And then I'm feeling really stuck. So by being able to do something like that, it opens me up to a whole different vibration, a whole different way of feeling and then responding. Like you said, go into the feeling.
Right.
And then respond from that. And my shoulders, instead of being like this, go, oh, and there's that relaxed. And I don't watch a lot of television. I'm very selective, and so I pick things that I want to, and then I record them.
Right. Yeah.
And then I choose when I want to watch them, based upon my energy, really. If my energy is really good and powerful and I'm feeling very, very balanced, I might watch a little news. But if my energy is all over the place, the last thing I'm going to do is watch news.
Yeah. News can be tough, because especially with what's been happening, not only in our country, but from what my friends overseas are saying, it's basically been pretty much the same thing, where high profile news anchors are just falling out of their positions. And that's it's disheartening, but it's not surprising to me at all.
Mhm.
And again, this is one of those things that where Neptune would come into play to say, okay, here's Mercury saying, I'm hearing it, I'm seeing it with my eyes. So there's the practicality of
Absolutely.
and but yet it doesn't move through the body correctly or comfortably. So there's Neptune and your intuition kicking in and saying, this isn't the right time for me. Not
Mm.
that it's never the time, this isn't the right time now. And it's been quite interesting to, well, I actually didn't even know some of them got fired until a couple of weeks after they got fired. Well, I've just had a lot going on. But and Mercury too, the thing with Mercury is Mercury could be like the trickster energy. So um it could be a play on words, you know. It's kind of like if you're writing a sentence and you use the word there, which there are you using? THEIR or THERE? So it has that little bit of a trickster energy to it. So that even though like we're out of Mercury retrograde, we're out of Mercury retrograde shadow, there's still that play on communication. And we're finding, and the thing with the Pisces Neptune energy is it is the heart, it is love, it is, and Venus too, very active in Leo, and Mars very active in Leo. You know, these are new ways of communicating love and understanding and all the gentleness and kindness and the strength, all the things we talked about over the last couple of weeks. And we're watching it play out, and now we're stepping into it even deeper. It's kind of like, okay, we started out with ankle boots and then they went to our knees. Now we're mid thigh. I'm thinking, well, by the end of the year, are they going to be like, are we going to be in waders?
Coveralls.
Are we going to be in waders?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's this Jupiter as well, very, very active. So it's expanding on the way we're feeling things. Like, is it really that bad? Is that one crumb on the table that bad? You know, is it that hard to just, and
Well,
it's
I,
kind of like making a mountain out of a molehill kind of type
I
energy.
used I
Awesome.
used to call it as the black dot on the white paper.
Yeah.
That's what where we zero in and we focus on, and when we focus on it, and that has a lot to do with ego. The more the closer we become to our inner being, and the more we become aware of what you teach in astrology, when we get closer to our inner being, our spirit, the essence within us, the the more the ego will want to push you into disclaiming what you are actually doing. It will give you a false sense of fear that says you should not be doing this. This is not good for you. Um, you're being tricked, and it is through this whole energy that you're talking about that we have to discern, you know,
The
between.
the ability to use proper discernment
Yes,
is somewhat clouded because of the Neptunian energy.
yes.
So it's a little bit tricky to navigate.
Hmm.
Play on words. I really didn't mean to do that until after it came out of my mouth. But it is a little bit tricky to navigate. Even the numerology for the date of the full moon, I just did it real quick, comes out to a 3. So that's coming together. It's the number of the child. It's the combination of the 1 and the 2. So it's masculine and it's feminine and it's collective, which is saying to me that everyone on some level is going to have to make that choice as to which way to go. And there is no wrong way to go, is what I always say. There really isn't, because you just experience whatever it is you're meant to experience. So how do we sit in the eye, in the peaceful eye of the storm while the chaos moves around us? And I want to say, with faith and trust in ourselves,
Hmm.
more so in our bodies than our mind at this time.
Well, and I think too, and you were talking about in your podcast that you do for Daily Words of Wisdom, you talk a lot about what's coming up that needs to go away, what's coming up that no longer serves you, what is coming up that is standing in the way of more expansiveness within yourself. And so I think, and I don't know for sure because you're the astrologer, but I think at a time like this, where you're having to choose between the mind, the brain, the thought system, and the internal being speaking, because the internal being speaks.
And it
It,
never
it,
lies to you. Your body never lies to
yeah,
you.
absolutely. And so, but what I find very interesting right now is because the things that come up, if we take a look at them and say, is this an old idea? We are in a very transformative time of the universe, not just our own, but universally, we've been in a very transformative time for several years now. And so what's happening, I think, is a lot is coming up into the brain, old ideas, old beliefs, old ways of doing things, even if they were good, they may no longer be good now.
And what you are talking about is Saturn in Capricorn.
There you go.
Okay. And so Saturn will be going retrograde again soon. Geez, I don't remember the date, but it's going back again. The great teacher
Mm-hmm.
foundation,
Yeah.
making sure that we've learned, because Mars is leading the pack right now. He's in the front, and Venus is traveling behind him, like within 4 degrees, something like that. They're not conjunct, but they're almost conjunct. So they're traveling together. He's leading the way. She's bringing love. What are we seeing? What are we feeling? What are we believing? What are we trusting in? Venus also is about money. So with all of this Mercury trickster energy kind of in play as well, it's insecurity, it's questioning money. It's also spending our money different. How are we spending it? Do we really need it? This, do we really need that? Do I really need that vacation? Do I really need that bouquet of flowers? I like fresh flowers on my table. Do I trust in myself, in the God within me, my ability to be able to replenish that money, that there will always be enough?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have security within myself? And am I standing in my sovereignty? So that's where a lot of these, and there isn't one person that I haven't talked to that hasn't felt some kind of insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like with money, around money and relationships, personal relationships. I would say that this could be difficult, for personal relationships. However, if it's a new relationship, this will test the strength of the relationship, and this relationship will, if it makes it through this energy, it will stand the test of time long term.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it. So yeah, that's exactly what you described. See, you're an astrologer, you just don't know it.
I'm just an experiencer. I experience things and you explain them, which is perfectly fine with me.
Experience them. We all experience them, and it's I love when my friends do that thing. I'm not an astrologer. I actually have a good friend who tells me all the time that she does not believe in astrology. However, she channels it all the time, and I really find it humorous and entertaining, and I love her to death. And it's just one of those things. Everybody has their own personal beliefs, but it's something.
Really?
Yeah.
There she is. You came back. You were frozen for a minute.
It's this
Yeah.
signal has not been great here for a while.
Yeah, it says your internet connection is unstable. Well, what else is new?
That's me, unstable. That's it.
Well,
The
you,
energy,
you,
the energy is, that's how the energy is flowing. And
yeah,
with Mercury, anything goes with communication. Remember, it's all forms of communication. Like I said, even though we're out of like all the Mercury, everybody writes about Mercury retrograde. You know what? Mercury is really pulling some real tricks that I don't really think any of us really know for sure what it's going to do. We can predict. I don't like to predict. I like to say, this is how I'm reading this chart. This is how I see it. This is how because my moon is in Aquarius, I have a habit of saying, I feel this. And um, lots of times it does come out that way, but I'm wrong. There are times I'm wrong because, it's also being in that neutral space and separating what I'm going through personally and
with,
what's collective, so there's a constant, there are times when separation is acceptable, and that's one of them, and so finding the calm.
calm. And I think well, most importantly, what I hope through, and I said this, I wrote this in our on our page when I first started with us. Um, what I'm hopeful is that when people hear us talking about these things, they will recognize what we're talking about. They will identify with what we're talking about, and they will realize that, oh, I'm not crazy, or no, oh, so that's what's going on. Oh, I get it. Okay. Oh, so yeah, because I've been having those thoughts too. I've been back in an old spinning wheel that I haven't been in a long time. I don't know what's going on and why am I there? And one of the things that I want to point out too is, and we were talking about the ego just a minute ago, my belief for me is that I have given an aspect of me a lot of power over my life because of things as I grew, as I incorporated familiar things, as I incorporated societal things, as I incorporated things in my career paths. You know, um, I at times, it's like I needed to have or feel important, or I needed to be the best, or I needed whatever it was. And then as we go through a more deeper understanding of what we are, not who, but what we are, that essence of God, then as we go through that, we begin to relinquish some of these ideas that we have given power to through our own need to do so. But what happens is when we are really humming along and we are in alignment and we are really feeling great and life is really awesome, guess what? We always call it, what hits the fan. And oftentimes that how we perceive what's hitting the fan has a lot to do with the ego saying to you, see, I told you. See, I told you it wasn't going to work out. See, I told you you should have listened to me. See, I told you. But let me say this. That is when the ego is feeling very powerless and is trying very hard to get us out of alignment. When we are in alignment is when the ego feels so weak and feels so powerless. And it doesn't want us to continue to unlayer and expand. I was saying to a friend this morning, I'm growing again. And I said, but that sounds so weird because when I think of growing, there's a whole other image. It's sort of an external image. And so I said, but on a spiritual level, it feels more like I'm expanding. Everything is expanding. My heart is expanding. My gut is expanding. Even my brain is expanding. It's expanding because I'm letting go of old ideas and it's being filled with an essence that sometimes doesn't even have words.
Well, Jupiter in Taurus, even though it's very earthy energy, it's beautiful energy, but Taurus can be a procrastinator.
Mhm.
Taurus does not like quick change. Taurus likes to think that the change is in their time and in their way. And it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just the way it is. And there's other signs that are similar. And a lot of people don't like change. And I found myself with, like I constantly complain about this MacBook where it's just like, what is the resistance? What is it? And yeah, I'm learning. This is a
Mhm.
time that um we are being asked to slow down, and Neptune as well. Neptune will give you that, not only that dreamy feeling and your intuitive dreams, your prophetic dreams. I want to say, pay attention to your dreams as well over the next, week or so after the moon, because there will be so much wisdom in those dreams, whether you remember them or not. Your brain has integrated them and filed them somewhere, and they will surface eventually. So it's that dreamy state, um, and it's kind of, when we think about being human, being a human being, it seems out of order, like we talked about with our last podcast, like the way we were taught, the way we were raised. It seems out of order.
Order.
Lead with our heart and not
Mhm.
because
Right.
our logical brain is saying this doesn't look right, but our
Yes.
heart is saying, but it feels right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's
And this,
two puppies on the end of a rope playing tug of war
right.
under
And
my
this is what I wanted people to hear, because people get discouraged. They think they've done something wrong.
no.
Why am I suddenly feeling out of kilter? Why am I suddenly, this is happening or that's happening? No, 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 no. You're not doing anything wrong. Most times you're doing everything right. You are flowing, you are moving in the right direction. You are internalizing and you are living through the flow. And so if you're living in the flow and everything is wonderful, don't be afraid that the other shoe is going to drop. Because if it drops, it's the ego telling you it dropped. I have seen people in the last couple of weeks that a very dear person, that's very close to me, they laid off 170 people in his company.
Wow.
170 people. They called, uh, everyone got a time that they were to meet. Everything is virtual in the company. So there was a time he was scheduled to meet with some people virtually, which was not unusual, and was told that he was one of those 170 people being laid off. And what was so beautiful was that I saw that person the following weekend. This happened on a Thursday. I saw him on Saturday. And on Sunday, he said to me, I have two ways of looking at this. I can look at it through my heart and be grateful because I don't know what's coming, but I know it's going to be better than what it's already been. Or I can look at this with regret for ever having gone with that company. I can look at it with anger. I can look at it with fear. He says, but I have so much going on that's good in my life today that I think I'm going to choose to keep following that pace, following that pace. And this morning I was sitting in meditation, 10 o'clock this morning, because he's having another interview, and I just put out there, I know what the universe is bringing to him. I know it. I know that it's going to be even better than what he's already been having, even though he really loved what he was doing and enjoyed it and was paid well for it. So anytime when we get hit with stuff, we need to stop, pause, breathe, and ask to see where is, how can I see this differently? And I can't go up here to get that because anything that's up here is what I put there. But I can go in here and I can ask, how can I see this differently?
In this energy, I'm going to say, if we're sitting in the eye of the storm where it's calm, this is the one time I'm going to change your wording, because I actually love the way you always say stop, pause, and breathe. But it's going to be more about feeling.
Hmm.
It's going to be more about feeling.
But you still have to stop, pause, breathe in order to feel.
You do. You
You do.
absolutely. absolutely do. And if you don't, that's when you're going to feel stuck. That's Taurus energy can be difficult to navigate because with Jupiter in there expanding everything, for people who don't like change, and because the change is happening so quickly, that's where they get stuck. That's where they get hung up because they become overwhelmed with, oh my God, it's like if you go on Facebook and they've updated and just everything's changed, you can't find anything. And you know how you have that moment like, oh, shit, like I need to be on reading in like 3 minutes and I can't find anything. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those, and then you just have to be like,
That's right.
"Oh, here we go, come around. I'm famous for this,
Bring it all back in.
straight out and up and around. And I'm like, I need to say it. There are times I need to stay in my bubble. And there are
Hmm.
it's okay to come out of my bubble.
Yeah.
And I'm a Pisces, so I'm really sensitive. You're a Taurus. Taurus is very sensitive too.
Mhm.
Very sensitive. And so I love the way you always have a way of bringing people back to their center. It's such a gift that you have. Like you're one of probably 3 people that could bring me back to center when I need it. I do.
Well,
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to say thank you for today. Before we came on, I was having a moment about last week I had to go and get my stuff out of storage and my delivery hasn't come yet. I don't have a date. So that was very frustrated, and I have special events planned and things coming up, and you know, but we know it's going to be here Friday. But we're just going to go with that today because that works today. And
and
tomorrow,
and you know,
uh,
and and yeah, all we have is today.
yeah,
How do I want to live today? How do I want to breathe today? How do I want to experience today? Because today is all we have. And maybe it's because, I've gotten to that age where, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are people younger than me and older than me that I have known for years and years that aren't here anymore, or not, or have, I hear it all the time. Did you know so and so passed, so and so transitioned, however you want to talk about it. And the older I get, or maybe it's just the wiser I get. I'm not sure if it really has to do with age or just having lived life and utilizing what I have learned. Um, that
part of
today,
the
the most important day I have. What, baby?
that's part of the key. You've not only learned it, but you've applied it. Because anybody can pick up a book and read and learn anything,
Hmm.
but the actual application requires dedication,
Absolutely.
requires commitment. It's like a marriage. It's like marrying yourself, making these promises to yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. We have to marry us and the essence of God within us. Because I could marry the persona of Shirley, and I have,
We had to.
and I have perfected so many different personas of Shirley. Some people over here knew me, not know me now, but knew me this way. Other people knew me this way. I mean, if you talk to people that knew me from different personas, would never have known they were talking about the same person. Um, but when you marry yourself and you connect with the essence of what you are and not who you are, but what you are, and then it's expressed through a personality. It's expressed through a personality, or even I don't like to use the word persona necessarily, but kind of like that. As long as my persona is in alignment with that which I am, it's the person that I have created to express herself in the world. Then I'm good.
It's just a facet of who you are
Yeah.
in that moment, because as we grow, we change. So it's just like if you start out with a rough stone, we smooth it out, okay? And then we
Mm,
start cutting the facets.
yep.
So each persona is just another facet.
Which makes it a beautiful diamond.
Eventually, that you just can't. You're gonna need sunglasses to stop the shine. I mean, So to reflect the light out. But it's yeah, persona, language, it can be difficult.
Hmm.
It can be difficult. Sometimes I find even finding the calm in the eye of the storm,
Hmm.
many times I will say, like, I need to vent, and then once I just get it out of my body,
Right.
sit in complete silence is when I wanna say that I feel the most in touch with my own grace,
Yep.
which it took
I
me
call it.
a long time to learn
Yeah,
what not what grace was, but my own inner grace.
absolutely. Grace is internal.
Yeah.
It is internal. Connecting with that is a gift to be able to realize that. I remember two things. I had a friend long, long, many, 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 many years ago. I mean, like 50 or so years ago, who said to me that, that grace was a gift. And I said, well, I guess I wasn't around when he handed that one out. And she was telling me that faith was a gift. And I thought, well, nope, wasn't there for that one either. But, um, yeah, I didn't come to where I am today because I really had uh, that kind of awareness. It's taken time and commitment and dedication to myself, not to anything external to me. Because what I tell people, and maybe this, I don't know, but I'm going to say it, you know, I am the most significant person in my life.
And you
The
should.
essence, the essence within me is my significant other. Connecting with that is the marriage. Everything else flows from that. Everything flows from that. And if I'm not in alignment with that marriage, I can be going all over the place, doing all kinds of things. Now, that doesn't make it bad, doesn't make me wrong.
No.
It just makes me off kilter. But you know what? Even in that, rather than getting upset with myself or angry with myself, I ask to see the lesson in this. What is the lesson in this? Where is the essence in this where I can pull the love from that and say, oh, wow. Okay, I needed to do that in order to experience this. Okay, I didn't know that at the time. So, there's, like you were saying, there's no right or wrong in a direction you take. There just isn't. And that's a gift to really come to that understanding within yourself that there's no right or wrong.
Because I truly believe, even though there are some things that I do question, uh,
Hmm.
I truly believe that we always wind up where we're supposed to be.
Hmm.
It's just which road. Is it the smooth road or is it the bumpy road?
Yep.
Truly believe that somehow, some way, we always wind up where we're supposed to be.
Bob wrote my husband writes music, plays music. We have a band, and he wrote a song called "And Freedom," and the chorus in that is something along the lines of which road to take, which path to follow now. And those are always choices that we get to continuously make. Life would be very, very boring if we stayed in the same mentality over years and years and years and years. The same routine. Sometimes we got to break the routine. We gotta get gutsy. I know when you asked me to do the podcast with you, I thought, okay, Shirley, here's a chance for you to get gutsy, you know. But it is something that I had thought about, but I never, and I probably put it out to the universe that it would be a fun thing to do.
Right.
And then within a short time, you said, I would like to do this. Do you want to do it with me? And it was like, wow, yeah, I really do. But, probably a year or two ago, I probably would have said no. There's always that possibility. I don't know. It didn't happen 2 years ago. What happened now?
Right. Well, yeah, I don't,
Because that's the right time.
I've been wanting to do it for a while. I just didn't have time and I had other things going on because
Hmm.
I was in that chaos and conflict energy.
Hmm.
It with my personal, it was a personal thing on in my personal chart. And so we can all pretend that we sit in the eye of the storm like the Dalai Lama
Yeah,
or
we sure can.
the Mom. Okay, not to make fun of anyone because I do that because I sometimes get monkey mind when I meditate. Um, but there are things that we can control,
Hmm.
and one thing that we can somewhat main control contain. Jesus, I don't know what this thing is. I have been talking backwards, typing backwards. I don't know, my brain's ahead of my mouth or my fingers are ahead of my brain. Even when I type, doing it. Mercury, that's the kind of stuff Mercury does to you. So, but the things that we can do while we're is that at any time we do have a choice to step out of that chaos and conflict, whether it be in the calm eye or outside of the storm completely. Now, Gemini too, and Mercury, and this kind of yo-yo effect of push pull with believing your your mind over your heart or making these difficult choices is that um how do we get through this as gracefully as possible? And I'm not sure there is a perfect answer for that. I think that we just need to try to step out of it whenever we can. If we cannot find the calm in the center and just step out of it, because there will be a tendency for gossip. And I'm not saying that because it's Gemini. It's not because there is kind of this stigma with Gemini that all Geminis gossip. That's not true, you know. But there is um, a duality where sometimes it's hard to make a decision. Remember, you have twins, so they share the same frequency, but one twin might like red and the other one might like maroon, which is still a shade of red, but a totally different color, but a totally different frequency. So there could be a tendency to have um, maybe the feeling of being stuck around making a decision where you come to a fork in the road. There could be a tendency for gossip. That I would say 1000% don't walk away from, run away from, because I feel like it's just on a personal level overall, it's just something that we need not participate in. But especially in this energy, it's something that could really come back. And I don't even want to say kick you in the ass. I want to say just push you over the side of a mountain. Like if you're saying I'm a doctor, you better be a doctor. All of that's still in play, and it's really, really strong because the the hard truths from Saturn, the hard lessons from Saturn, the teacher, and this mystical, intuitive Pisces energy mixed in with this Mercury. It's a it's a real it's a pot of boiling stew, it's a hot mess. It could be a hot mess if you let it become one.
Yeah.
So it's what do you want to participate in? What do you not want to participate in? Where's your faith again? Where's your fear again? And are you able to let go of the logical, practical mind and believe in this
Hmm.
just a moment in time? Because that's all it takes. And the more we try to fight it, the more difficult it will be. It's more surrendering again. We have been over the last few years, we have been stripped. And, I think to myself sometimes, I'm already standing naked in the backyard. How much more do you want me to take off? And I know a lot of people are feeling that.
Hmm.
And that's where we are. So the only thing I can say is now maybe the rain clouds will come and just wash it all away. But we have to go through the process. There is no easy way around the process other than surrender.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's the gift of it all. Always remembering the door to all of this is within us. It's not outside of us. And even though, Robin and I are here and we're talking about all of this, and we hope that we inspire you to take a look within yourself. We are not an answer. You are the answer.
You are.
You are the answer. And when that conflict comes, when it seems most difficult, and you want to run, because oftentimes I want to run away, I want to find anything to do. You talked about procrastination, anything to do, but face this situation. Robin was talking earlier today in our pre-conversation about just saying, you know what, I'm going to go outside and take a walk. I'm
Yeah.
not going to walk. I'm not have to walk far. I just need to be alone. I need to breathe in the air. I need to take a walk. Anytime we can take ourselves out of a situation, we're not escaping it by doing something else, but by putting ourselves in a neutral environment where then we can really begin to hear what is our response to be. I think that is, and everyone's going to have everyone's going to hear it differently. The essence of God that's within each of us will speak to each of us in a language that we each understand.
Right.
And it could be words, it could be intuition, it could be, I was having this walking around the cul-de-sac one day with the dogs, and I was looking for and asking for inspiration about something, and a white feather flew down and landed. I didn't see a bird anywhere. And this white feather landed right at my feet. And because I had been open to the possibility, the white feather, I picked it up. I still have it. It's on my table over there. And it spoke to me and it said, purity, clarity, awareness, be still. There would have been a time that white feather would have flown down there, landed at my feet, and I would have walked right on it. But that's what happens. So that's how things speak to me. But how they speak to others, how they speak to anyone that's listening to this, you will know.
Right.
When you're open to receiving, you will know how that universe, how that essence in you is speaking to you to help you make your decisions. And someone else might think, oh my God, that's crazy.
Well,
Not
it's
if it,
it's important to keep the energy flowing through some kind of movement. And it doesn't matter what you decide to do. For me, I walk. But we want to keep some kind of movement to keep so that our energy doesn't become stagnant. And at the same time, the Pisces energy, the Neptune energy is going to make us feel tired, which is telling us to rest. And while we are resting is when our bodies heal and integrate.
yeah.
So there's a for some people who feel guilty, like, oh, like I took a nap today, or I shouldn't have wasted that time taking that nap. I had so much to do. No, you should have taken the nap because that's what your body was telling you to do, because that
Hmm.
body needed. And that's important as well, because that helps give you the strength to get through that chaos. The structure too. We need the structure and the strength to be able to step out of that, because
Out
look
of it.
times that there's a hand, waiting on the other side, but there are times that you have to have the strength to pull yourself up. And you might not know where that strength comes from or how you're going to be able to do it. So I think that meditation and breathing, finding a place of peace within yourself, along with other things, like for some people, it's music. It's just finding that specific thing that works for you.
And you'll find it. If you're open to receiving it, you will find it and receive it.
Right.
That's the key. As long as you're open, just, I
And
had
have to be, it doesn't have to be verbal words.
no. Mm-mm.
It's feeling like
Yeah.
maybe your heart skips a couple of beats, like when you're in love, or, it could be just something very simple, like it's like looking at maybe the same flower every single day, and this one particular day the sunlight hits it differently, and you see this flower from a whole new perspective, a new beauty, a new
Mm-hmm.
facet.
Yep. And sometimes tears come to your eyes and you don't know why. There's a moment, and then those tears show up, and you go, oh, yeah, highly individualized for sure. Absolutely. So, my friend, what you thinking?
I'm thinking one last question.
Okay.
So what is your best advice for finding the calm in the center of the storm? What do you use for yourself? Like
Well,
for me, we talked about how I do the walking. I try to breathe. When I can't breathe, I walk, because sometimes I feel like I need movement and sometimes I need rest. So for me, it's either walk or I just go lay down. It's like sleeping it off kind of thing. But I'm a Pisces, so that's a natural behavior for me. Or I like to go to water.
mm-hmm. I can do that. For me, it's very visual. And so it is basically what I had said earlier. I will have to be alone. I would ask to be alone. I will walk out of the house, go in the backyard, put my feet in the grass. I love putting my feet in the grass. That's one of the reasons why I really love spring and summer, and even fall. Winter is kind of hard to put my feet in the grass. But there are times when I still have to do that. There isn't much grass, but I still have to do it.
Hey, it's
And
still Earth.
then it's still the earth, absolutely. And then the whole idea of where is my head? Where is my head? Is my head the brain part of my head, the thought part of my head? Is my head perpendicular to my feet? If my head is way out there and my feet are here, then I need to bring it back in. And I had a dear friend that used to say, because I did it all the time, I was always out there. And she said, get yourself a really good fishing rod and go like this, hook that head and reel it back in. And so I would do that. I mean, literally, throw it out, hook it. And in my mind, I am reeling back all this nonsense that is out there making me go like this. Reel it back, take a deep breath, breathe it in, go to my center, breathe in my center, and sit and then release. That always, there are times too where I will use the pillow to breathe because a little bit ago, a week or so ago, I was going through something and I was trying really, really hard to get centered by doing that. And then I tried to meditate once I had it here and I couldn't. It kept on wanting to jump out and be out there again. So I took the pillow and I brought the pillow in and I breathed with the pillow. And that brings me, because there's tension there between feeling the pillow and the breath. Just focused on that feeling of the breath, brought that in. And eventually the calm became part of me.
Right.
So those are my go-tos.
And that's really beautiful too. I like the fishing rod analogy. And I was just going to, like, that vision popped into my head. And then next thing I know, the words were coming out of your mouth. I was going to say it's just like fishing. If you just continue to keep flinging that reel, eventually you're going to hook something. So
Hmm.
what is it that you're looking for? What do you want to hook, and what do you want to reel back in? And what do you want to leave behind?
Yeah, absolutely. But I got to get the head. I have to get the head in alignment, and I
We
have to help the head. I have to help the head be quiet, not totally, completely quiet, but not yelling at me. You
Right.
know, because once I get in here, sometimes the head can say what it wants to say, and it just goes by like I'm watching boats flow by. But I'm grounded in my center, so it doesn't matter what's going up here.
It is the whisper.
It is the whisper.
Is the
Yes.
That's when I think I've had my greatest aha moments, was in the silence, in the whisper, almost like being carried on the wind kind of thing. Um, when something stands in front of me and jumps and jumping up and go, here I am, here I am, here I am. That's when I tend to sometimes hesitate. But I will say this, I do have somewhat of a little bit of advantage of being able to look at the astrology.
That's-
I myself sometimes look at it and I think, no, he's having, no, really? Again, like, okay. But we get it again. Now I've have this preconceived, I've just created this scenario in my head because I really don't know. I know that this planet is going to be in this house, but I really don't know how it's going to play out.
Mm-mm.
I really don't. Like I had something in my fifth house, which is like your house of joy. It's what you do for the. It was not a joyous experience whatsoever, and I'm like, well, you lied to me, and then I'm well, you interpreted that wrong because you had this preconceived notion that you created in your head.
Yeah.
So we all we all do this at one time or another. We're never in complete and utter control, nor should we be, because that interrupts the natural flow.
It absolutely does. And the natural flow is so beautiful because it is the mystery. We are sitting in the mystery, and it's such a joy when something opens up that we were not. I mean, we couldn't have expected it in a million years. That is beautiful. That is really beautiful.
There is always a door, like you said, or a window.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to climb up to the window.
Hmm.
So, because the doorway can become crowded if we allow it.
Yeah.
But
But
it's
we always have that way out.
there is always a
Well,
way.
actually, we always have a way in in order to get
And the
out.
way out is the way in.
Yes, we don't.
That is the irony of this whole conversation of
It
chaos and
is.
conflict. And how do we step out of it? The way out is by going in,
Yeah, absolutely.
finding
Yeah.
how to, it's just, I find that humorous. I really find
Yeah.
it. I want to thank you for another beautiful episode and
Well,
forward to seeing you next week.
I look forward to it as well. I thoroughly enjoy our time together, and I hope those that are watching enjoy what we have shared with them. And if they can take one thing home with them and utilize it, not just use it as information, but put it to some use, then we've done whatever it is we need to do here, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
We're not here to tell you how to live your life. We're just sharing our experiences and what works for us and hoping that anything that can help anyone else that they take full advantage of.
Absolutely. Okay.
Well, thank you. I love you. And
Namaste. I love you too.
namaste to you as well. And for everyone out there, please remember to like and share with your friends. And if you have any subjects that you would like us to talk about it, please let us know. Don't forget the Facebook page, Whisper Words of Wisdom podcast group. You can post questions in there or any subjects that you would like us to discuss. And next week, I believe it's going to be next week, we're going to have a very special guest with us. I'm really looking forward to that. And I just want to wish everyone a beautiful weekend, a
Absolutely.
happy new moon or full moon, new moon in Gemini. Remember to set your intentions. Remember you are planting seeds and watering them. We need to nurture them. Where do we want to go? You're not going crazy. Drop into the heart. For once, let your heart do the thinking. This is a time to really embody the energy of the heart. The throat chakra will be activated. The crown is very activated, even the root, because we need to somehow manage to stay grounded in this energy. It is going to be a difficult energy to stay grounded in. Shirley's suggestion, barefoot in the grass, walking in nature, the same things that we consistently talk about. And if you're someone who's in the city that you don't have access to those things, or weather doesn't permit, if it's raining, get some Epsom salts or some sea salt and put your feet in a bucket of nice water, soak your feet in that salt water, and you get a manicure and you get grounded all at the same time. So
Yeah, there you go. That sounds pretty good.
clean, pretty feet, clean and pretty. All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode. We're both sending you so much love, and be well, be blessed. We're here if you need us.
So
Information under the video. I love you, Shirley.
I love you too, Robin.
This morning. God bless everyone.